Hello, everybody, and welcome to 40K Fight Club. This is episode 11. We don't have a title, and it's on a Thursday. We're all confused too. Nobody's sure what's going on. Everything is on fire. I can hear screaming in the distance, sirens wailing. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday show for this week. We have unfortunately had to reschedule a little bit. I am Innes. I am joined by my co-hosts Anthony and Nathan. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Things are good. Things are, going. Had an event last weekend, so things are pretty good. Got to hang out with Nathan on Tuesday without you, which was both sad and I got made fun of less, so that was nice. And things are going pretty good in general. How about you, Nathan?
Things are going all right here. No, I don't have any events. I'm going to TO an event next weekend. Just an RTT locally here where we're using some stuff, but we also had to patch some other stuff. So we can talk about that later. Otherwise, I'm just painting Tyranids.
That doesn't sound right.
I'm going to bring them to Washington with me because it's a lot easier to transport 5 Carnifexes than it is to transport a bunch of boats.
Yeah. That's good because there's a lot of boats to transport when you're doing that nonsense.
It's true.
So
boats are frequently the means of transportation rather than the thing transported. So
True.
Terrible.
But yeah, also a lot of people strangely missed Innis on Tuesday. It was kind of bizarre.
I only managed to catch so far I've only watched the first 30 minutes. So I can't wait to see just how far you guys go off the rails. But no, what is always
pretty far.
You guys do good.
We went pretty far off the rails. There was a point where we looked over at the clock and we were like, oh, it's been 90 minutes and we haven't talked about anything of substance.
Yeah. Yay.
So it's just like a normal show.
Pretty much.
So yeah, for anybody who is not in the loop or is listening to the podcast feed, the reason we are a couple of days late right now is because we were waiting for a couple of things, and I was busy on Tuesday. Let's go with that because we're going to continue pretending this isn't a thing yet. So yeah, we have a minor, what do we call it, not Fight Club that was on Tuesday at the regular scheduled time. You can see that on the YouTube page if you're interested and you want to catch an hour and a half of Anthony and Nathan just shooting the garbage. Otherwise, we are here now on Thursday night UK. Something rather interesting happened about 12 hours ago, as somebody might have noticed, and that is why we delayed our stream. That is why we're here now. For this episode, we're going to be doing something slightly different to our usual format, because I think people are a little over hearing the usual, and then Harlequins and Custodes and Tau and everything, and sometimes Tyranids did okay. Oh my god, look, it was Death Guard that went 4-1 this week. We've done that to death. This is episode 11, episode 12, 11. I think.
It's 11.
11. I have lost track. We've had about 8 of that already. So yeah, we are going to forgive us. We will go briefly through the stats for the week and also the winners of the events because we still feel like it's right to shout out the people who have done well, especially when one of them is a friend of the show. Not you, Anthony.
You're not a friend. You're not a friend of the show. You are on the show.
I guess.
And you got to speak about it all the time on Tuesday.
We did talk about it a little bit on Tuesday. That's true.
I don't know what you want from me. So we will be doing probably about 15-20 minutes on the regular meta stuff, and then we will be going for a bumper bonus session of Innes, Anthony, and Nathan talk about the meta, which I can't imagine why anybody would want to listen to this week. That doesn't sound like a thing that anyone would care about. Then we will be doing our standard of taking a short break, and then we will return for a 30-minute bonus round where we will be going through some questions from the Discord, Anthony's question of the week, and for anybody who is watching on the live streams, that will be available for you. Otherwise, it will only be available to YouTube members on youtube.com/c/bestintabletop. And if you are listening to the podcast, that is where you can find that. If you're listening to that on the YouTube, thank you very much. We really appreciate you. Otherwise, let's get started, guys.
This time.
What a week, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it is, from a statistics perspective, a lot of more of the same. So there's nothing really to be terribly excited about. Let's just go through this really quickly. There were a lot of events actually over the weekend, though. There were 8 events total of GT size or greater that we tracked. So 25 players, 5+ rounds is what we track for the purposes of our stats running stuff. And I mean, the top 5 is essentially just what we've seen pretty commonly over the last few weeks. Custodes were making up 12% of the meta and got 16 top 10s. And then 3 top 4s, so they had a good representation actually of about 1.66 in top 10s and then 0.78, so a little bit under where you'd really want them to be for top 4s. We then have Harlequins coming up behind them. They had a 6.2% rep, not much change there. 16 top 10s again. And then they had 9 top 4s for an eye-watering 4.5 ratio for representation.
That's right, baby.
Yep. A lot
Seems
of that
high.
just on Anthony's shoulders. A whole bunch of that. And then we got
Right.
Tau coming in at 14.6% of the meta, though, which is a lot.
That's like
is-
Space Marine levels, right?
Yeah, that's basically Space
That's like-
Marine levels of meta rep.
That's like combined Space Marine levels of meta prep. Yeah.
For
One
now.
in 5 players. 1 in 7 players, sorry.
For now, in the manner of speaking, we'll probably talk about it in a little bit. I don't think Tau numbers will decrease, but we'll probably be talking about some other changes in the
Town numbers will
round
decrease. There's a
previously.
lot of people who bandwagon into that will disappear. Again.
Yep.
So they have a 1.5 for their top 4s, which is a little above, but isn't like terrifyingly above. Tyranids had a fairly normal sized weekend. We'll probably see this number go up a bunch. 5.9% meta rep, 2.65 for their ratio into the top 4, which is over 2 times what we'd expect. And then Asuryani are pulling up the back end of the top 5 at 9.8% meta rep, 8 top 10s, and then 3 top 4s for about a 1, which is indicating that maybe, possibly, Craft World
There
are possibly balanced in some sense of the word.
That's what I hear.
I think Americans just need to figure out Halo Doom is the only way to play them.
It's true. Maybe they do. For win rates, Harlequins were at 77, Tyranids were at 63, Custodes at 62, Tau at 57. I'm going to tell you, folks, that that's probably at least slightly as a result of just having a 14.6% meta share, at least, is their win rate's going to decrease just a little bit as you keep tacking more people onto it. Harlequins haven't really gone above 6-ish%, which means there's still relatively low representation overall. If we're looking at Asuryani, who had that 9.8% that I talked about, 51% win rate. Yeah. And then Adeptus Sororitas continue this trend of baffling me continuously without getting anything in particular and having a 51.7% win rate this last weekend. But honestly, none of these stats matter. None of these numbers need to matter or make sense anymore. This is the death knell of the meta that we've been watching.
That is
for a lot of
your
people.
final. The Auctioneer's Gavel has been brought down. That is the end. What was the peak for Harlequins? What did we hit? What was the last
70. What was it? 79.7% or something
It was
like that.
real close.
real
My
real
heart
close to
breaks.
80. Like, they tried so hard, they really did, and they didn't quite get there. 80%, folks, is what I think is the actual realistic cap for win rate, and they got so close. They basically just died right before the finishing line on hitting that 80% win rate.
I should have just
Um,
played an event that weekend. Fucked up.
Didn't you play an event that weekend?
I don't think so. I
Oh,
think
no, that was the weekend of
weekend.
Gibraltar.
Yeah.
I played an event that weekend. I lost to Harlequins. I did my part.
You did your part. It's true. You could have lost more games to Harlequins than
I only played them once.
You should have grudge matched a random Harlequin player that
I should have
first
brought
round.
Harlequins and gone 5-0. That's what I should have done.
It's true. That's the real plan.
Now you're getting
That was,
Now
that
you're
was what I
getting
was
it.
missing. I was missing I was missing winning with Harlequins. Cunning scheme.
And I guess I can say who the worst performing factions are just because I want to hurt some people's feelings real quick.
Let's see if any of these are ones that are about to get lovely little buffs in the upcoming section.
Grey Knights had a 25.6% win rate. Thousand Suns had a 29.2% win rate.
Yeah.
Imperial Guard had a 33.8% win rate.
Yeah.
And then Space Marines had a 36.1% win rate.
Wow. All 4 of those are getting buffs.
I know. I think we're going to be talking about all
Crazy
4 of
how
those
that works.
factions in just a minute.
What are
maybe-
Necrons and Genestealer Cult? Because those poor boys didn't get no buffs.
Genestealer Cult are actually still doing okay. They're only a 2% meta rep. There were only 7 players over the weekend, and they
Yeah, that
were
sounds about
at
right.
they were at a 53. Man, Necrons, where are you? You're just right above Imperial Soup at 38.6% win rate. Poor Necrons.
Necron's getting no buffs.
They're gonna be back to their unique Necron tier in just a little bit.
Yeah, and Necrons will be like 50-50 for no good reason within like 2 weeks anyway.
It's
Yeah.
Because Necrons never make sense.
But if we want
yeah.
the real capstone of like the last meta since Eldar release, I'll just give those numbers out because those are just the weekend numbers. Our worst I guess I'll do this properly so that I don't have to look at all the Space Marine factions separately. So give me just a moment. There we go. Gonna make this list work. Okay.
Hi, Below Average Bob. You can leave now.
So our worst faction. Wow.
For reference, Below Average Bob is just so
Man.
sad that they let me come back, and it's a shame because the 90-minute halftime show was great, and I'm hurt by that. Frankly.
That's what we're gonna call that, actually. Though that's a great name for those episodes where one of us isn't here.
The halftime show
Is the halftime show.
Yeah, I mean that's really what we did. We did 90 minutes of that bit where Innes goes to get water, and in between shows.
It's true. We took the 10-minute break and then just made it 90 minutes, and that's all.
Yep.
Bring back Just Two Clowns, says X Ever Ready X, our favorite 90s child.
Yep, you can tell.
So
Go back to EVE Online.
Go back to your Excel spreadsheet
sheets,
manager
yeah.
game. God damn it. So Imperial Guard are the worst faction since the Eldar Codex dropped.
I feel like that's about to change.
32% win rate. Space Marines are at a 38 overall. Death Guard at a 38. Thousand Sons at a 42. Necrons sitting at a 44. So just almost, well, they're at 44.7. So they're just shy of where we would consider the balance window of like 55 to 45. And then we have everybody else kind of just stacked at the top. I don't really care about talking about top tier factions anymore. So I'm just going to close this spreadsheet and never address it ever again. But those
Perfect.
are our bottom
Good plan.
factions.
Yep, I appreciate that.
And I think we're going to talk a lot about some very contemptuous changes.
No.
No?
No.
Oh, am I not allowed to pun? Sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, Innes. Can't help it. Stats dad got to dad joke, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, that one went right over my head. I didn't just...
Anthony just read the rules, not the flavor text.
Yeah. What?
Anthony just refuses to know what people are talking about when they say,
There's
the
a-
honor contempt rule. He'll just be like, the what rule?
The what? Yeah.
The one
The
that
weapon-
stacked with all his dust, yeah?
Ah, see, I know what that one is.
The one that stacked with all his dust and cover.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, and people are about to learn that ballistic skill modifiers and to hit modifiers are different things and
Different?
stacked together.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk through winners then real quick
Let's
and then
do
hop
it,
over to
but,
our friend?
real quick. Like, I'm not even touching on lists here. We're going to go through event name and player who won and what their faction was and why. And then we could even do a why we're not talking about it, but you can probably guess for the factions. So first we have going from smallest to largest. A major Badger Brawl was won by Jesse McGowan with Adeptus Custodes. Cool, that list died. We have a Dance of Nightmares in England. This was won by Harlequins. It was won by Henry Byrne. This list is dead. Cool. We have Tau Tipping in Hokkien, Washington. This was won by Craft Worlds. Colin Sherman, friend of the show. That's why this was getting slightly more. It's an Ulthwave, Fire Prisms, and Howling Banshees and stuff build. This one will be sticking around, so he gets a tiny mention. This list went through Harlequins in the final. Congratulations to Colin. The VODs for that are on Twitch somewhere.
Everything except the finals, I think, is on Twitch.
That's unfortunate. So sorry about that. We have the 40k GT Bedlam in the Borough. This was won by Thomas Ogden's Tau Empire. Ooh, cool.
Also a dead list.
We have the Warhound at Game Grind April GT in Utah. This was won by Tau by Ben Neal. Congratulations, your list is dead. Then we have the Battle to End Alzheimer's GT in Westminster, Maryland. This was 96 players in 5 rounds and the only major of the weekend. And there were 3 undefeated players, of which Anthony was the only one who was brave enough to come first. And he was playing a dead list. So
It's so close to being real. You just remove 3 units and you're good. 3 models.
And some rolls and a couple of upgrades. Let's be honest.
No, it's just 3 models. You remove 3 models, the list is the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Mm.
2 Void Division of the Death Jester and the
Ah, there it
entirety
is.
of Mirror
Yeah.
Architect.
No, well, you just change mirror for a different pivotal role. You're not losing one.
You're losing a good one and gaining
That's true.
Agent of Bedlam. Ooh, for all
It's
the
a
time
marginal
Shadow's
one.
years in combat.
It's
Like,
still
keep
a
your
buff.
voids safe when your voids get charged.
And
You
do we-
can
are we
stop lying
missing-
to yourself whenever you want.
Come on.
Are we missing any events, or was that all of them?
I think that was all of them. The Imps Gaming GT was only twice as players, so I don't consider it a GT.
Okay, that's fine.
Am I missing one?
No, I think we're good. I'm just gonna.
Was the
pull up-
one? How many players were there on DUP?
I don't remember.
Oh, goodness sake!
I'm just gonna download
You guys
the
fill
balance
time.
data slate while Innes
I'm gonna-
looks at this, and then I'm gonna open all 3 pages of it and get really excited to talk about these changes.
All
I'm
exactly
honest.
3 pages, meaning that there's no Knights rules in it.
Yeah, that was the thing that we had to patch for our RTT next week. Is we were like, you know what? We're gonna just say that the Knights get to keep this because the book's not gonna be out in time, and be done with it. So we've obviously made this RTT just too much comp play for our own good with a community data slate for balance and ignoring all other things, right?
Yep.
Just terrible people at heart.
Yeah, that's what it is, man.
I know. I've been spending so much time doing science writing, though, that I got really distracted today by all of the mayhem.
I had 10 minutes
and
left on my
drinking
lunch
all
break.
the salty,
when it
sweet,
finished.
delicious Custodes tears.
Yeah,
I've
it
definitely
dropped
been-
with 50 minutes.
I've
left
been
on my
just-
lunch break. It was awful.
That sucks.
It's like,
Nice.
crap. I can't find it, so I'm just going to shout out anyway. Congratulations to the winner of Properly Caught Wars on Wellington, which was Hayden Korak on... Oh, Harlequins. Cool. Yeah, hold on.
Nice. Good. Cool.
That many elves just made Innes sick a little inside, and he nearly just like had an issue on camera.
Like, 1, 2, 3, 4 events won by Harlequins. Combined total probably like 3,000 points over between them. How could anyone care?
It's true.
You picked the
I
wrong
want
weekend to
one
win a
to-
GT,
I
is all
don't
I'm
care.
saying. All right. Shall we go into the good old meta discussion section? We are 18 minutes into the show. We are already through all the board stuff. So thank you for sticking around. If all you are here to hear about is the good old fashioned meta breakdown with myself and Anthony, you're going to get about an hour and 10 minutes of this, and then we will take a break. Let's start with the easy bit. How is our overall feelings on the balance data slate? And then we'll go into some specifics after that.
Which
Anthony,
one of
would you
us
like to
do want
start?
first? I'll start. Yes. So I like the data slate a whole bunch. The data slate could have held only the Custodes changes, and I would have been excited. Burn my curse here. Fuck that faction. Hope they're terrible. They should have went even harder. Trajan should be 250 points. But yeah, that's broadly my stance. Now, in general, I think it was good. The only part that I'm really upset about, and not that they got nerfed, it was how they got nerfed, was the clown stuff. I thought most other factions had they went around and hit the thing that was causing the issue. In clowns, they just didn't do that at all. They hit the thing that was causing the issue, but you could still just do the same thing and just take slightly less scoring and table your opponent.
Way worse at it now.
You just still table people. You just take 9, table them, and then the amount of scoring that you have doesn't matter because they're gone. I don't think that list is good or as good as it was, obviously, because it lost 80 bajillion points, but the rough concept still sticks, and a lot of the problems that existed are still there. I'd be pretty confident with even the nerf version of my light list, and I don't feel like the other top factions can say that with as little changes as had to be made. So yeah, not super pleased about how they handled the Harlequin nerf, but broad strokes for the game, adding power armor back into the meta, nerfing indirect, buffing the daylights out of guard, smacking Custodes square in the teeth, important changes to Tau. I think in general it was good.
Yeah, no worries. Unfortunately, Nathan has had a minor computer issue, so he will be joining us back in a couple of minutes. For the time being, We can just talk. Yeah, I'll give my brief overview thoughts, and then we'll wait for Nathan. Yeah, I'm broadly on the same boat as Anthony. I think it got a lot right. I'm very happy with all the buffs it got to the weaker factions. Giving Space Marines almost +1 save. Like it's +1 save, except in that like one time where you're getting hit by AP dash, which is not super common right now, but it does happen enough that like you will notice it. Like you're not going to get a 2-up save against hand flamers or or a lot of guard shooting or random stuff in close combat. So it still feels like a 3-up save sometimes. But between cover and ignoring AP1, it will feel like a 2-up save a lot of the game. Or if you're already a 2-up save, like for example, Centurions, which might be all right now with a functional 0-up save in cover.
Terminators, baby.
Terminators, yeah, Dark Angels, Terminators, coming in hot. Yeah, I think it's an interesting time to be one of the weaker factions. Guard, I think, just straight up received the biggest buff of any faction. Ever? Probably not, because like there have been some wild codexes over the years.
Not new codex buff though, right? Like an existing codex that just had something added to it. At least since I've been playing.
I would have to think about that one, but like you're kind of on the same here as like, is this better than Psychic Awakening Grey Knights?
I mean, from a non-book though.
All right,
like,
if we're just going from
like a downloadable data slate that's free and is like one page just of pure buffing.
Crusher Stampede.
Even that came in. Even that you had to buy. That was a White Dwarf.
There's definitely been some stuff like when the Repulsor Executioner data slate just went up on the WGW website or things like that are like similar. Huh? It came out with Apocalypse, so they just put it on the website. Nice. There's been a few things like that where there's just been like a random downloadable thing. So yeah, but it's very up there. For the rough math on this one, if you're hitting with, you're on guard, you're hitting with an average of half of your shots. A third of those are going to be better. So that's 33% of the time. Your damage increase is going to go up anywhere from 16% if you're already winning on 2s to 600% if you're winning on 6s. Right. So it's between a 5 and 200% damage increase, depending on whether you're winning on 2s or 6s.
Right.
That's kind of.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull up the math. Somebody had done this just recently, and I just have to pull it up, and I need to find it.
Is this the Knights one?
Yeah, so this was the Knights one where if you take a unit, like a full-size unit of conscripts, and you give them first rank fire, second rank fire, and then if you give them Vengeance for Cadia, I believe is the rerolls. Yeah, and then you're shooting a Chaos Knight, and you get
so they get AP1.
Yeah, and you give them the stratagem for AP1, and then you get basically full rerolls. You deal 52 damage at AP1 to that knight, and it dies.
52 saves at AP1.
Yeah, 52 saves at AP1.
Okay.
So, like,
I was like,
mathematically, on average, though, that knight just dies. Like,
yeah, sure.
You could spike those 4-up saves actually because of the AP, and not die, I suppose. But most likely dead, which is kind of hilarious that a bunch of conscripts decided to put on a rave. And the Chaos Knight, drunk and high on drugs, just keeled over from a little too much stimulus.
No. That Chaos Knight, that Chaos Knight got cancelled. Like that was just the cancel button.
That's what all 30 conscripts at the same time just smashed that button.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were like that. Those flashlights were Morse coding. This guy is cancelled. Get him off Twitter.
That's how you should paint all the conscripts in your army. Now just need like a little band hammer on the on their bandanas.
So yeah, for anybody who is not following with the balance data slate, first of all, you should go and read the balance data slate. It's quite important. The guard change is that on a 6 to hit, they automatically wound now. You have to be all of the regiment units in your army have to be pulled from the same regiment. There is some weirdness with sounds and that we're not going to get into. We're going to broadly assume don't try to use sounds with this. We don't think it works. If it does work, run like 85 Taurox primes and just pew, pew,
Or
pew,
just
pew,
keep
pew.
taking them. Don't stop taking them.
The one other thing that I thought was really cool from the data slate, and I don't know if we mentioned it because my computer decided to.
We're just on
implode
guard at the moment.
Oh, good. Is that infantry squads are just 60 points no matter how much stuff you tack onto them. So for 60 points, you always get a power fist on your sergeant, a Voxcaster, a heavy weapons team, probably with a las cannon, because why the hell not? And
Yep.
then a plasma gun or melt-a-gun, just for 60 points.
Remember when like the edition rolled around and we got the new Death Star Codex and people were talking about like the garage sale Plague Marines loadout? We had like
Yeah.
one of every special weapon. They just walked into the neighborhood, seen a garage sale, grabbed one of every weapon.
Yeah.
Guard squads are doing that now. You got like your power fist, plasma pistol on your sergeant. I am here and I'm ready to do absolutely nothing, but I've got this weapon. And it only exists to like time out guard players as they explain their loadouts pre-game.
Every time they shoot now, since they have to roll like 3 or 4 different times, you're just gonna time them out.
Yeah,
That's how you're gonna.
right, so
that's the
I'm gonna
real
fire this
anti-guard
las
strategy.
cannon. I've hit. I gotta roll a wound. All right, now the flamer or the metal gun. Oh, it's auto wounded. I have to explain to you why it's auto wounded.
What made that happen?
They just changed the points on guard units to be 60 points. For
No,
10s.
I'm saying, like, why did that auto wound? Like, you're asking your opponent
right,
every
yeah.
time they auto wound.
And all the las guns are rapid fire too, and since you're in rapid fire range, I have to roll 36 shots or
But
whatever.
I got to measure to
and-
make sure to see what. Oh, there's one guy that's out. Sorry.
Suffering.
the real suffering is all of these buffs. That's the real suffering. for
But anyway,
guard
it's Hail of
players.
Doom for guard.
I'll allow it.
It's not quite as good
Like,
as Hail
it
of
is.
Doom.
Like it's Hail of Doom, but you're just triggering a shuriken rule that doesn't exist. Like
Right. Yeah, sure. It triggers Shuriken. We can even say it does.
Yes.
Yeah,
We can
this
say
is
it
a
does.
thing.
It's
You
really
should expect
good.
to see a lot of stuff. I would say expect to see and be losing to guard at the moment.
Mhm.
Ugh.
I wouldn't
I
be
know,
surprised
like,
to see
it hurts
guard
me
go
too.
from like mid 30s to mid 50s off of just this buff from this data slate.
No.
I
Um,
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
Dude, we
mid 30s
just
is
said
real
it's a
bad.
200%.
One win on average extra would put them up to the 40.
oh, I guess that's fair.
So we just need them to get 2 more wins on average per player, and I think that's doable with the buff set from this.
Well, if they're at
specific
what 30
set.
just now,
Yeah, they're at 30, like
yeah,
5 to
adding
38.
one win gets them to mid 50s.
Basically.
Are you uncomfortable with the idea of saying guard players will win one more game of tournament off of doing roughly 100% more damage?
I'm not. I think they'll do that well. I think Anthony looked uncomfortable with it, and now Anthony is sitting with his knowledge that it's
And he's
just
like,
one extra
"Oh."
game on average per player.
Oh, that's a lot. That's not a lot to win to get to increase your win rate
No.
by double when you have none to begin with.
I don't know why everyone else didn't just do that for the rest of this time. It seems like trolling. All you do is win one more, guys. Get it together.
Well, everybody has to win one more game on average.
Right.
Yeah.
But like,
But a couple people could win 2, and a
That's
few people
right.
could win 3.
there's a lot
And
of
it would
heavy
be
rolls in
okay.
guard. Remember that like Cadians bubble orders now.
Mhm.
And if your stuff stays still and then you bubble the order for reroll hits, everything gets that.
Yeah, that seems all right.
Yeah. New episode special. Can Innis paint 2,000 points of guard from scratch?
No, but I've painted 2,000 points of Tyrannus, it'll table it. So
Mhm. I will say that I still don't think that the guard is going to beat a well-built Tyrannus list or even a Harlequin's list necessarily.
all I'm sitting here saying, I'm just like, oh my god, full payload manticores still, because
Can't get
guard
away.
also don't suffer from the indirect change. So
Mhm.
Yep.
They ignore all of it, so you will still see all of those
does it work in
mortars.
combat
and
or is it
things.
shooting only?
Does
The
it's a
guard.
ranged attack?
Oh, thank God.
I'm just like, we're not going back to the days of like conscript of like Catachans with Harker and with Strachan and Priest. All
I was
right,
getting just progressively closer to the camera as you said that. I was like, oh no.
Does Anthony suddenly start a Catachan army because it's just so much violence?
Just-
all of the Rambo just
Punch.
straight at people.
Punch
yeah,
idiots time.
The thing with it is that like you can very easily build a guard army that just vomits shots. Whether it's like you can build chimeras to have like the lasgun arrays that just get loads of shots, and chimeras are fine. It doesn't unfortunately benefit things like vultures, which is probably for the best, because they don't have regiment keyword. But I don't know. You get loads of so many lasgun shots, just so many lasgun shots. That's the main thing. Is just if your army's not prepared to just take like a load of saves every turn, your guard match is probably not great. Like you
Probably
don't
one
you
of
don't
those
want to
armies
be
that I know basically nothing about because they've been bad the entire time that I've played.
Harlequins don't have an armor save, mate. Like you're just
That's
rolling
true.
fours.
The good news is I'm not playing them anymore, so it's fine.
um, yeah, like demons don't love this, and demons have been doing weirdly well recently. Like I'm pretty sure if a knight dies, a keeper of secrets dies twice, right?
Yeah, so I mean,
Probably kill 3.
keepers are in a bad state with this because it doesn't matter that they wound on 6s. If you cause enough wounds to a keeper with a 5-up
Remember,
interval and no other
if you're running on
paths,
6s, sixes to hit auto wound is a 600% damage increase or 200% damage increase. Wow, you just doubled your damage output for free. Then you stack on like reroll wounds on top of that.
Yep.
Or
And
reroll hits and wounds.
it will just
Oh,
go
fair.
through keepers because that 5-up invulnerable save is not stopping anything.
Oh, below average Bob gets it, dude. Anthony, the diehard bug fan.
No, he's not playing bugs
Long-time
either. You
Tyranid
couldn't
owner.
even bandwagon on. You couldn't even bandwagon right.
What do you mean?
You're not playing bugs. You're not allowed.
I'm playing bugs in singles.
Imagine still thinking about singles before the end of August, mate. That is completely cringe. Anthony, just not die hard enough for the team. Idris, you'll find out when I beat you.
just rude Dodds who asked what's the innocent list.
He doesn't get to find out. You can find out when I beat him at a tournament.
There you go.
Love it.
It's secret now. We're in team season. I don't tell people my list anymore. Even Anthony doesn't get to know them.
Just me.
That's mostly true.
Okay, let us move on from guard. Shall we touch on the like game-wide indirect change and then the broad implications of that? Because I feel like that's the one that's going to continue coloring the rest of this discussion.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is good or bad depending on that. So we might as well touch base on that.
We can talk about the indirect Craft Worlds nerf real quick. So yeah, I know what I did, Anthony. I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
An indirect fire weapon is one that targets units that are not visible to the bearer. If you're targeting something that's not visible, worsen your ballistic skill characteristic by 1 and add 1 to the armor saving throws made by that attack. So if you're using indirect fire to fire indirectly, you have a ballistic skill modifier and your opponent gets +1 to their covers or +1 to their save. They essentially get cover.
Yep.
So let's note some key things with this. 1, it doesn't affect invols. Sorry, demons, you don't get to benefit from this. Don't know why you thought you would. Same with Harlequins, but I don't care about Harlequins. Harlequins base armor save actually?
I think it's like a 6.
Cool. The voids as well. They're not like randomly.
So they'll get a benefit from it.
So they could theoretically like against APC against that like Thunder, the guy who's still running a Thunder of Arcana, they might get a 3-up save. Good for them. I guess the same is technically true for like Bloodthirsters that have a 3-up save.
Bloodthirsters.
Yes. Look, I'm stretching for demons units that have a 3 of armor save. I don't know of any others. Anthony communicating with sign language is great podcast content. I fully agree, Nick, and that is why the best way you can watch this show is live every week at youtube.com/C/Tabletop, where you can find us with all the best way to view this content instead of having to hear us with editing and like good sound quality. Ooh, disgusting.
Gross.
Why would you want that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Second thing to note on that. Did you know ballistic skill modifiers are not hit modifiers? They stack with hit modifiers. Yes, that does mean you can be -2 to hit as a result of this rule. If you're firing through dents, if you're firing so it's -1 to hit, and you're taking your ballistic skill modifier, you will hit at -2. That's all I got. Rocket truck swig buggies, back to 6s.
So sad.
That's Thunderfire Cannons, plus a skill 4 Space Marines, plus a skill 4 Space Marines, with AP dash improving your opponent's save by 1.
Yep.
Plague Burst Crawlers now tickle because they are AP1 function.
Oh, this makes Whirlwinds for Fight Last so much worse. No.
Oh no, all the damage output they were already doing.
No, the Fight Last. The Fight Last. You have to
Yeah,
hit.
but they still. Oh,
You're still gonna hit. You're just not gonna hit as easily.
Nathan, tell me you've never used that strat without telling me you've never used that strat.
I rolled 2 shots.
Yeah.
See, I don't play Space Marines, so you're on your own.
That fucking strat, dude. You
I'm
roll
also just
3
like-
shots.
I gotta say, I feel for Death Guard players who are gonna be like, yeah, so I got this Plague Burst Crawler shooting through dents, and I need to apply this. I want to apply the splash damage. I rolled 1 shot, and I'm hitting on 5s. Oh no! And they just like randomly don't get the splash damage. They've just spent
It's
the
just like the
CP.
old days again, though, right? Like they used to basically just hit on 5s.
They used to advance every turn. What do you want about?
Yeah, that's true. They never fired that mortar.
But it's important to note that Astra Militarum ignore all of that with their indirect fire weapons, so they hit normally, and you don't get a bonus to your save against them.
They are artillery experts, or whatever the lore says.
I mean,
They
give it a name. They
It's
just said,
weird to say, like, the rule that didn't change for them is a buff. But
Mhm.
Yep.
Do we want to talk about the other big elephant in the room, which is the bodyguard changes?
I'm gonna let Innes talk about this because I'm sure he's already sweating with excitement.
oh no, I get to tell you about the really, really weird issue in the bodyguard rule for Tyrannids that you're going to love, Anthony.
Oh,
Oh,
excellent. I love
no.
it.
Okay, so the way bodyguard broadly works now is that the unit always counts for lookouts for the unit that is protecting. So instead of providing overwatch protection and just can't be shot and can't be targeted by snipers, now the unit will just always count as thermal wards. So for example, 2 crypto thralls will always count as 3 model lookouts for protection for a cryptek that's within their aura range, which I believe is just 3 inches. And then if there is nothing closer to that character still, they can be shot as normal. If there's anything in between, it works exactly like old bodyguard did, except for the snipers and bodyguard, except for snipers and overwatch. Those are the only differences. Now, for Tyranid specifically, Hive Tyrants receive character protection as if they were 9 or less wounds. Hive Tyrants with wings and the Swarm Lord, on the other hand, are not mentioned. And it's not keyworded.
Oh my fucking god.
What is GW even doing? That doesn't. But it's also not bolded, so it's not a keyword thing. It just says
Exactly.
Hive
It's
Tyrants.
just, which is one of the 3 data sheets that could use the Swarm Protectors rule.
Man, GW, clear up your keywords, please. 'Cause that should be, because it currently is
Highlighted.
keyworded to Hive Tyrants,
Yeah.
which includes both Winged and the Swarm Lord.
Yeah. Now, I don't think anybody's going to rule that it doesn't work because
Currently,
Come
on.
because
But-
currently it works that way.
but also, wow, that's an interesting oversight.
There are a
Oh,
few things about this data slate that I love and some that I hate. And a lot of the ones that I hate is that there are some edits here that feel like a little bit like somebody didn't maybe
There's
take a
definitely
second
some
pass at
They feel
editorializing
like they
it.
wrote them yesterday, right?
Yes.
Like, it definitely feels like the reason that this came out on Thursday is because they hadn't finished it on Wednesday.
Right.
Like they'd forgotten on Monday that they'd promised to put out a data slate this week. And they're like,
What's the
oh,
most thematic thing we can give Guard? I actually wish they'd given Guard exploding 6s, just army wide. That would have been way cooler and way less good, but,
But
I would have liked
cooler.
it better. Yeah,
But
cooler.
cooler.
Yeah, they get to roll more dice. That's what Guard players want, right?
Yeah.
these bodyguard changes almost make snipers good if there were any good snipers in the game who hadn't recently got nerfed in this data
Cerberus
slate.
Raiders,
It's true.
Eliminators.
Maybe
Do
death
you know
marks.
how much AP you need to get an Eliminator off a 2-up save now?
Oh, that's true.
It's -4.
Have we talked
Prism
about armor?
cannons, they get a 3-up save.
Have we talked about armor of contempt yet?
We have
then?
not. We will be going to that next.
Ooh, time to talk
Um,
about something.
But yeah, the bodyguard changes, I think there are definitely snipers that will start to show up again. Even just stuff like the Phobos captain that randomly has a sniper that shows up in some Space Marine lists is, a threat to characters again. Space Marine lists were running, our Gene Circle lists were running Sanctus and Kellermorph. which now I get a lot of lists now have to just respect those guys again. You don't get free Overwatch denial in Dark Eldar. You have to actually work for it a little bit without having a core of the Archon. Tau genuinely suffer from this a lot because now their characters are actually murderable. They can't just stand on objectives that way. Trajan and blah 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 blah, all of the Custode stuff. Again, every army has lost its ability to just stand on an objective with impunity, and shooting got a lot stronger because of that. Because you can actually now just kill people off of objectives again, which has not necessarily been a thing for a while.
Do you think you'll actually see Vindicare assassins now?
No.
No? Okay. I'm just curious.
Don't take the snipers you were already taking.
And then you might take like some of the ones that were slightly marginal.
Maybe.
Like maybe you're just like, Cerberus Raiders were pretty good. Now they're good enough that it's actually worth taking. You might be like, I will find the points for the Sanctus in my Gene Circulus. I was already looking at one, but now I'll definitely take one. That kind of marginal characters might start to pop up. And then you might be like, Eliminators over Landspeeder Storms might be a meta call that you want if there's a lot of characters causing you problems with your Space Marines list. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right then, Nathan, talk us through the Armor of Contempt special rule.
I would love to talk about Armor of Contempt. So each time an attack is allocated to the following keywords, of which will affect many different factions: Adeptus Astartes, Sanctic Astartes, Heretic Astartes, or Adeptus Auritas. Worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1, but it doesn't work under 3 conditions. Models equipped with Storm Shields, a Relic Shield, or a Combat Shield are not affected by this. Models with either the Sacrosanct Shield or Force Shielding ability, like Celestian Sacrosants or Nemesis Dread Knight units. And then models that are under the effect of any other rule that worsens or reduces the armor penetration characteristic of an attack. So you essentially can't stack this with other stuff.
Can't stack it with Storm Shields, being a Dread Knight, and I kind of wish that I'd said Dreadnought as well. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I have some problems with this rule overall, and
so
a lot of it just has to do with those things, but it's really good.
Yeah, let's talk where this is good, where this is bad, and then what effect. We'll talk about what effects it might have later. But like, what units have you been like, oh, this seems really good on it? Anthony, do you want to take us first to that one?
So there's a couple that, I mean, the most obvious one is like my home back in Blood Angels, the Sanguinary Guard. It is mint on. Going from a 2-up ignoring AP1 essentially, or ignoring the first step of AP is huge for those boys. If you're stood in cover, you're much tankier. You're not dying to indirect of basically any shade with them at that point. And you can fit a whole bundle of Sanguinary Guard in a list, and they will kill most things.
Everything they touch,
yeah, most things die to them, especially with the absence of -1 damage in the game now for the most part.
They're not killing Morty, and that's about it. Like,
they won't kill Morty. They won't kill like a -1 damage thing. In general, they'll have a bit of trouble with, but especially
they have enough attacks to power through like a squad of work buggies and stuff like that, even if they're running axes. But
yeah, as long as the thing doesn't have an invuln, then they're fine.
Yeah.
But if it does, then it gets a little scary. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. They're still really good, and they have a good gun that gets slept on a lot. They have a strength 4 2-shot like assault gun with decent range. So yeah, I miss those boys dearly. Death Company are in a similar boat where in Blood Angels, where like a unit can have a 5-up Film and Pain for 1 CP, and then become extraordinarily annoying to remove once they're ignoring a single point of AP. So yeah, some stuff to think about.
I guess for me, it's just all Terminators all the time for that rule. Like, not just Loyalist ones, but Terminators like across the board. If you liked your Emperor's Children Terminators and you liked pop them out of Deep Strike for a guaranteed charge, they just got better and they'll probably survive a shooting phase after arrival.
It's still 2 wounds. I don't love it.
But the real sauce comes from Thousand Sons Scarab Occult Terminators, I think, who get to stack their fun rule with another fun rule and become basically immune to small arms fire because of it.
Yeah. Scarab Occult Terminators in cover will benefit from +1 to save from All Is Dust against damage 1 weapons, +1 to save from cover, and then ignoring the first point of AP, meaning that they will be on a functional -1+ save. You need AP4 on 1 damage weapons to push these guys to a 3-up, which, not gonna lie, not a lot of. Like Rending Claws and Tyranids are AP4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most weapons
also
are
don't
like
get shot with them.
AP3 except for freaking rail rifles and stuff
Obviously,
like
in
that.
combat, you only need AP3 to push them to 3 save because they won't benefit from cover unless there's heavy cover on the board, which is vanishingly rare in 40k at the moment. Yeah, Scaraboccle Terminators got nasty. Even rubrics really, really like this change. Like, just you got to be AP2 to just even force them to a 3-up save now. If they're in cover, AP3, like, and they're not expensive for what they are. You run like 4 or 5 squads of these guys, they'll get good saves. No, I really like this change. Let's talk. So the units that I kind of immediately went to, I was like, oh, this seemed really cool for these guys. Centurions seem quite fun. You don't need that many space marines. You don't need that many buffs to make a unit that can't die good. Like, and not that they can't die, but a 0+ save and cover is pretty good. Just straight up. Deathwing Terminators, to hone in another cool unit. If you run the shooting variant, you get a decent shooting profile with the Stormbolter that can be AP1 from Doctrines. You get a decent combat profile with a 3 attack Chain Fist, so strength 8 -4, damage D3, and then flat 3 against vehicles, which can also get bonus attacks from things like the Honor Vehement Relic and Ezekiel, which can get you like +2 attacks. So you can get up to like 4 attacks fairly reasonably if you want to. And then also get a 1-up armor save and transhuman and a 4 prevailing and shooting. All very, very normal things that you should totally be allowed to have on 35-point models. Obviously, the Storm Shield variants won't benefit from this because they have a Storm Shield, so they just don't get the worst in AP.
Right.
Other things that seem cool,
Fire Raptors.
Fire Raptors. Fire Raptors benefit from the other half of the Space Marine changes that we'll get to later. But just stuff like Land Speeder Storms are a 4 armor save and normally just kind of die if they get shot. This gives them a 6-up save against Las Cannons, and they have 7 wounds. Like, it will now take. Actually, you sometimes just spike that save, and your Land Speeder Storm lives through like 3 or 4 Las Cannon shots because they're hitting on 3s, winning on 3s, and then you get your 6-up save, and they got to get 3-7 damage. Like, the odds that you die to just like 2 or 3 Las Cannon shots just becomes significantly smaller once you start adding like any chance of passing a save on there. Magnus and Mortarion now benefit from ignoring AP1 exactly and only. It's still not enough. Like, these guys are still not good.
Great.
Lords
Death
of Skulls.
I know we've talked about Terminators, but Death Shroud, real like this, because Death Shroud hate small arms fire that just puts them to their invul. So less of that is now a good thing. Lords of Skulls, Lords of Skulls benefit from this. Leviathan Dreadnoughts have a 12 armor save. So now they just ignore AP1 and they AP3 puts them to 4-up instead of a 5-up as it does currently. There's a lot of stuff in Space Marines that's sitting on that 2 or 3-up save that is generally fairly resilient already, and adding this like little incremental bit of just 1 bit better save against most guns in the game helps Space Marines a lot. You just become a lot more survivable.
Grey Knights Terminators. We haven't even talked about Sisters of Battle at all either, who are getting +1. Yeah. They're ignoring AP. It's not probably as big of a deal since they're.
I have more of an issue with it because anything that you were relying on surviving in Sisters was already going to be Valorous Heart, probably. And Sacrosanct against a lot of damage profiles actually become less tanky with this change. Because now, yes, you're getting... So, to quickly touch on it, because this doesn't stack with any AP reduction, the Valorous Heart and Salamander tactic traits both changed from ignore AP1 and reduce AP2 by 1 to ignore wound rolls. But wound rolls are generally the least common kind of reroll in 40k, like, other than like damage rerolls. Like hit rerolls are very common. Wound rerolls are much less frequent, I would think it's fair to say.
I mean, it depends on how common lightning claws are in the meta, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's generally like one squad in your opponent's army will have reroll wounds, and then like there might be a stratagem for a unit to have it, or characters might have it. Whereas hit rerolls tend to be like everything in my army rerolls wants to hit. So if turning off hit rerolls tends to be a bigger game than turning off wound rerolls does.
It's also affecting more dice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess the thing
for like Sacrosanct specifically, they go from being 2-up save, ignoring AP1, and then in cover, so they're like AP2 is still putting them to a 2-up save, to now they are ignoring wound rerolls and worsening, but they're not getting the wound of AP. So for a lot of types of damage output, they're actually less resilient now, which I think could be an issue for Sisters. In the Valorous Heart build was kind of the only thing that was really showing up. So like against AP2, Sacrosancts are now just on a 4-up save, whereas before they were on a 2-up save.
Right.
I guess
If they're in cover, it's still 3 up. Like they're actually having to take worse and save now for basically no reason where they weren't before, which I think might hurt the builds that we're doing well. Obviously, turning off Wounded Rose is great, and the fact that you get this benefit in stuff like Bloody Rose is amazing. But the builds that were most successful previously have lost something, I think, and I think that's worth pointing out.
It's definitely worth pointing out, I think. But I think this will allow a bit more diversity into the field because people were taking Sacristants because Sacristants survive, right?
Yeah.
But this is really good on things like, I mean, it's really good on anything that's like a Terminator. So it's also
Celestine and Morvenval, yeah.
Yep. It's also good on Paragon Warsuits, probably. Like, it's not maybe enough to make Paragon Warsuits competitive necessarily, but -1 damage a 1-up save at all times is pretty good.
Yeah, it means that they're almost functionally 5-up involved now, where they were kind of not before. They were 2-up. With 2-up, 6-up is such a weird defensive profile. In that, like, the AP6 is almost, the AP5 and 6 is so uncommon that you're almost never going to be getting that 6-up save. It almost only exists to buff. Right. Like with the +1 save for the Warlord trait and the Litany. But now, if you can only AP1, it means that Las Cannon's AP3 are putting you on a 4-up save, and you've actually got decent odds of passing saves to Paragons. I don't think they're too expensive. 80 points for those models is a lot.
It's also where you start getting like more benefit as well from from no rerolls to wound if you take Valorous Heart in that situation, because they are toughness 5. So there's more benefit from that. Because like Sisters, on basic Sisters, your most weapons maybe wound them on 3s or on 2s in the case of massed Shuriken Cannon Fire, which is probably what you're going to see a lot of in the meta. You'll eliminate them rerolling 1s essentially, but you can eliminate more rerolls with your Paragon Warsuits instead, which is kind of nice. You take more advantage of something like Valorous Heart. Maybe it's not as good as Bloody Rose because Bloody Rose has that supplement, which has some good stuff in it. But I don't play Sisters enough, and
I think
some Sisters player is going to come into chat and like hit me with a rock.
The biggest thing for Sisters is probably the indirect change, because their units are so small and fragile that now they can actually afford to stand in the open a little bit, and they can afford to bring that as an actual gameplay plan now. Because before, you can't really run a game plan of having like 5 Repentious sitting behind a wall waiting to jump on anything that comes too close, because if that's your game plan and you play against like 5 armies right now, they just die. But with like Hiveguard just taking an indefinite leave of absence, and then ATS getting cropped, and Night Spinners and Shadow Weavers being just less efficient, unless we start seeing a significant amount of guard indirect, which we probably will see a decent amount of. Like you'll probably see like 3x3 mortars and 2 Mana Cores in most guard lists. Depending on if they can fit in heavy support slots, or you'll see mortars in like the random guard squads that are sitting in the backfield that are not planning on being in line of sight, but just holding objectives. You'll probably see that a little bit, but outside of guard, like Plagueburst Crawlers are less scary now. I don't know. It feels like it's a good time to be Sisters, but I feel like of the 4 armies that got this change, they benefit or of the 4 like keywords that got this change, they benefit the least. I don't think that's massively unfair. Just because they're not really rocking the 2-up saves that other armies are running that can really, really benefit from the change.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Let's talk. So Death Guard got a second change to go with this. We'll touch on them quickly. Their Terminators get OBSEC now, so they get to join the world of Thousand Suns, where they Thousand Suns have always benefited from OBSEC on Scarab Cult Terminators. Now Blightlords and Death Shrouds get to join the party. And wow, that's a really big change, right? Because I said this a while back, like when the book first dropped last January, I was like, I really wish there was like Rites of War in this book, and now there is. It's better. It's called an army rule. How do you feel about this as a noted Death Guard 17.1 inch hater?
Man, those poor guys. I definitely think this gives them more play. We've been talking to people actually more than I normally would expect to about Death Guard throughout the day. I think they're good. I think they definitely do a lot of things that they like. Between the AP change and having OBSEC on your murder boys, like you have a real chance of actually flipping objectives now and not just immediately folding when someone's like, "Hey, I'm mad that you flipped that objective." A lot of stuff gets more relevant, I guess is the best way to put that. Mephitics are also kind of cute with their strat in the current meta, because a lot of guns that are like big pain damage guns are 2 shots, and making them half as many is very funny. So yeah, in general, I think Death Guard came into a much better place than they came out of this, a much better place than they went into it.
Yeah, the most interesting thing I had for like the Terminator change is that before, if there was an objective like 6 inches away from you, and your opponent had stuff on it, and they could stand like far enough back that you had to hit a charge that was like an 8 or a 9, or the objective was like 7 inches away from you and you had to hit like a 10-inch charge. It was just impossible. Like you never got to clear the board, or you just had to chance big charges taking Overwatch on the way in. Now you can just advance onto it. Like you
Yeah,
don't actually
that's
have to go
mine.
for combat now.
Thanks.
You could just put obstacle on it, and that wasn't a thing you could do because Plague Marines, frankly, are not competitive or good enough. Maybe that changes now. Maybe now that the Rhino that they're in and the guys inside are better +1 save functionally. There's a play there, but I don't know.
I don't think so. I think Plague Marines are still terrible.
Yeah, I think the Death Guard problem is that Plague Burst Crawlers are no longer indirect. They are basically just direct fire guns
Yeah, they're
that
battle
happen to have
tanks.
an option of going indirect if you
Yeah.
really desperately need it, but you should never take it.
Well, I mean, it's there anyway, right? You might as well shoot it at the garbage. It's good at killing that now. You don't use it to kill Marine squads. You use it to blow up like idiots in the back.
But like idiots in the back when you're hitting them on 4s, potentially 5s if there's dents, and then they're getting +1 save, and they're probably in cover, so they're net on base armor saves. I
Yeah,
just
it's
don't.
fine.
It's just like
It's not good,
Oh,
but it's not.
yeah.
You know,
It's
that's
just
the use
like-
for that now.
three Plague Burst Crawlers shooting at just like to pull a random use case. 5 dudes with a 4-up save. You're gonna get
Cabalite Warriors.
10.5 shots. You're gonna hit 5 times if they're not in dense. Wound 5 times because you're 1/2 reroll, and then they're gonna take their 4-up save against you, and you're gonna kill 2, maybe 3. Like that's with 3 Plague Burst Crawlers. Like that's 500 points of indirect.
That's what those points do now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying that's garbage.
Yeah.
So like, don't expect Plague Burst Crawlers may as well be direct fire weapons now. I don't feel like they have indirect as a mode for when they literally could do nothing else. But if they can't do anything else, like fine. But you should just I think you still take 2 probably because eccentric cannons are insane and the only thing that does that job in the army. But you don't
Yep.
need the rest. You
That's
don't
where
need
I
the
landed.
third.
too,
Just put
and
single
I was
Vanguard.
like,
It's fine. Single Vanguard is all you need.
Yep. That's
Yep.
where we landed in the list building I was doing with some people today as
Yeah,
well.
that
It
makes
was single Vanguard with 2 BBCs.
I don't know. To me, it's like Thousand Suns just got this massive bump, and that's like where I really see this. And then Space Marines also just got a massive bump as well. And I guess we can talk about maybe like a couple changes real quick, and then talk about Space Marines for a
So
second.
let's talk. Well, we've done Thousand Suns. We're not going to talk about Chaos Space Marines because I don't care, frankly.
I was saying
Um,
generic Space Marines, but
Yeah, so let's talk Space Marines. So Space Marines also got, as we mentioned, the Space Marines Salamander's got the same change that Valor started, which is a weird chapter to get this. I feel like this could have gone to like Imperial Fists. I've been like,
Yeah,
they
I
get
don't-
something cool. Salamanders didn't need this. Salamanders were probably going to be fine.
yeah, instead Salamanders I think they just did it for the 2 loyalist factions that ignored it.
Yeah,
They were
I
like,
know.
we're just going to
It still
replace
feels
this on something
gratuitous.
else. It
It's
does.
like
Yeah.
Imperial Fists, stay in your corner.
Yeah.
Because nobody
There
likes
was a
yellow.
3-2 Imperial Fist player who came to his first event at that major I was at this weekend.
Hell yeah, power to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, what seems good with turn off reroll wounds in Space Marines?
I don't know.
So as
man.
you were
You're
saying,
talking about a
the
captain earlier that made me
the
upset.
better your toughness is, the better this rule is because people just don't get to reroll against you. Sisters don't have a lot of toughness 8. I don't know if you knew this. Space Marines quite a lot of toughness 7 and 8. Like for example,
Leviathans,
all of the dreadnoughts in the game.
Yeah, it's Redemptors. Like,
Astraeuses, Fire Raptors, Braearth Ashmantle.
anything with transhuman, take your pick.
The toughness 7 -1 to wound bike captain or chaplain. Like
Some of those Primaris
Seems really
tanks
good here.
probably get better when you start throwing just no wound rerolls.
Triple
and
Rep X
plus
is
one to
back.
their save. I mean, when you
somehow
ignore
triple Rep X.
you ignore-
Somewhere, 3D printed lime green Caladiuses have just been reused, just been
Yeah,
melted down
that's-
to turn into Rep X's.
That's right, baby.
Oh yeah, that's true. As our friend from the '90s has said, salamanders also can get the +2 toughness for a warlord trait. So then you start putting it on like captains and things like that, and you can just get unkillable
Yeah,
characters
plus-
essentially,
+2 toughness, and then there's a relic for -1 to wound.
and then no rerolls.
No rerolls.
Just-
So your toughness 7, -1 to wound.
No more.
And then there's 2 psychic powers that both give +1 toughness.
Mhm.
Uh,
Put that on a Primaris chaplain and just be the proudest man on bike, preferably, of course. So you just hit T like 8 real easy, and then just make everyone depressed as they try to hit him.
T8 -1 to wound as I've been playing T7 -1 to wound on Hive Tyrant for on Hive Tyrant for a while, and the boy does not die. When that guy's got character protection and also Chapter Master and OBSEC aura, like I don't know, this is my oath of moment. like he is oathing that moment all the time. Like how Anthony Drazar versus toughness 7 -1 to wound, no rerolls chaplain. How do you feel?
Not great. I'd probably kill him eventually, but not quickly.
Yeah,
he doesn't do a lot back to units.
Eventually, that's funny.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got a Thunderhammer and 5 attacks. Like, he'll do something.
It'll probably be like his second or third fight phase where he gets him, something like that.
Fight phase, not activation. Fight
no,
phase.
Yeah, I said what I said.
Anthony's like, I stand by my terrible math.
Yeah.
I stand by that Drazar probably needs like 20 to 30 attacks to kill this guy.
Yeah, 20 to 30. That was about where my brain went. Something like that.
That's a lot for anybody keeping tabs at home.
Yeah. I've killed entire custodian armies faster than that with Drazar.
Look, Drazar doesn't enjoy winning on 5s. That's all I'm saying.
It's true. I guess since we mentioned Custodes, do we want to move and talk to Custodes?
Well, are we done on Marines? How do we feel Marines 1000? How do we feel the Marines, the Chaos Marines factions? Grey Knights we're not going to touch on because Grey Knights are just 3-up armor save guys getting ignored P1. It's cool. Tide of Shadows gets a little bit better. You might see some Silvertide.
Space Marines got a lot better.
I think Space Marines are a lot better, but I'm also just not that scared of them, if I'm entirely honest. I feel like every weapon in the game is damage too. And even if you're only failing 33% of your saves, you're usually taking more than enough saves.
Yeah, but it's not for the Marine bodies. Like I'm more thinking like the Space Marine vehicle suite is real good.
Yeah.
And now it just dies less.
Yeah, the Space Marine vehicle suite can be real good. I don't know. I feel like sometimes those dudes just feed, but they're less likely to just explode now, which is cool.
I've definitely seen enough games where like Triple Redemptor just is the only thing left at the end of the game, having taken
they
no
control
damage.
the game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but those Redemptors aren't holding any objectives.
They're not holding objectives with Rights of War.
Yeah.
The character has to survive as opposed to the end of the game at that point.
Yeah, but he's tough for 7 months. No riddles.
Hence the Salamander's unkillable guy with Rights of War. Yes, I get it. I understand.
Hey, now he's getting it.
The Veterans of the Long War and Salamanders goes a long way towards resolving that
just having
problem that I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and also the Salamander's stratagem suite is just really good. It's very, very solid. You have heroic interventions, you have +1 damage strats, +1 strength and double damage on 6s in combat, which works really well to get around like damage reduction. Blade Guard veterans with that, double to damage 4, then get reduced by 1, which is great. They have a lot of rerolls access from thinking like Vulcan Ash Mantle, who can just give full hit and reroll wound rerolls to a Melt or Flamer squad.
That shit's no joke.
It's quite good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I look forward to seeing what Space Marine players come up with. Death Watch Army for now as well. That is a thing, and you should be scared.
Oh,
you should be real scared. Yeah, and now it's just +1 save on all of it.
Yep.
It's all good. Space Marines are going to be very excited to hit 50% win rates.
And they'll not get past it because it's Space Marines. But
exactly.
Let's talk Custodes then.
I said a lot of mean things during our halftime show.
Yes, I do. Alrighty.
Oh, no.
God, I've never been more excited in my entire life than to read words off a page. Alrighty. Change the third bullet point of the detachment abilities of an Adeptus Custodes detachment to read troop units in Adeptus Custodes detachments gain the objective secured ability. That's right, Custodes players, just troop units, because you are, at the end of the day, just Golden Marines, and only your troops, like Marines, have OBSEC. Second line.
Hey, Marines, everything in Marines has troops. It's Rights of War, you know?
No, they just have OBSEC. They're not troops. Different.
So Marines are better than Custodes, is what I'm saying.
That's right. That's right in the lore. You can ask Taylor. He'll tell you. The Marines are better than Custodes.
Yeah.
All right. Keeping it moving. Add the following to the Esteemed Amalgam, which is the chapter tactic change in Emperor's Chosen, the Emperor's Auspice, which is the rerolls turn off, and Martial Discretion, which is the Kata flip. You can only use this stratagem once. Not once per turn, not once per battle round, Once. You get to use that stuff one time.
Per tournament.
Yeah.
Since you actually play the army, it says once. It doesn't give you a time frame, so it's once ever.
Yeah, once. Good luck. Godspeed. I hope you pick a good moment. Change the Adeptus Custodes keyword in all instances on the Arcane Genetic Alchemy, which is the transhuman, and the Emperor's Auspice, which you can only use once, to read Adeptus Custodes Infantry. That's right. Not your bikes. Fuck them too. Yeah, that's how I feel
also,
about that.
Not your dreads.
Yeah. Yes.
Because Emperor's Auspice currently works on dreadnoughts.
That's true. Well, not anymore. It doesn't. Currently, it doesn't do anything on dreadnoughts.
So let's start with the easy bit. Shadowkeeper stonks. Up, up, up.
I guess.
I mean, that -1 strength is not limited. That is now the only defensive strat you can just slam the button on every turn. On every
That's
unit.
true. It's the only hope you got of staying
Obviously,
alive.
transhuman you can still use as many times as you want, but not on bikes anymore.
Yeah, only on infantry.
I've seen some people talk about emissaries because Sagittarum spam is going to become a thing.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's where my head immediately went. 6x5 Sagittarum and emissaries.
Did anyone else read this and assume that they'll flip chapter tactics and then look at how many mortal wounds they could do in their book? Because I got real excited for that. I was like, oh, they're not going to play Emperor's Chosen anymore. Come here, baby.
No, I was already doing all the mortal wounds. I'm playing Tyranids.
That same TBH. But yeah.
It's a very bug-centric podcast now forever.
Yeah, literally the hive mind.
Look, I'm not saying I corrupted you all, but I didn't know.
Yeah, it worked.
Innes is the patriarch to this gene.
You just have to be enthusiastic about Tyranids for long enough, and eventually everybody sees the light.
It's true.
I looked at a bone sword and was like, "That's it. That's the way."
That's 0 points.
Yeah. Why is that free? Don't know. Don't care. Taking them.
Yeah. So Custodes, I think the biggest impact of Custodes not playing Emperor's Chosen anymore, which I don't think they will. If you're playing them, you're probably playing Emissaries, Aquiline Shield, or Shadowkeepers now.
Yeah, it's tank time. We're about you
can actually play Psychers again.
Yay. I just want to read another thing that just makes me happy every time I see it. Remove the core keyword from the keyword section of Iron Strider Ballistari. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, every time I see read the Dark Eldar section on that page, I just a little bit happier.
Yeah, that's fine. I also enjoy that because I don't play them anymore. So
Anthony, faction loyalty is dead, and I killed it.
Faction loyalty never existed.
Exactly. Faction loyalty is just being a one trick, and we all know one tricks are nothing to respect in any other game. So why would you respect them?
Why would we do it in this one?
Exactly. Yep. So Custodes changes. Dead in the water or still a good army? Where do we think they'll land?
They're probably like at a low A tier army now. Maybe high B.
Yeah, if they just lean into the nonsense, right? The Dread build before they got army-wide rules was good. The Dread build with army-wide rules probably still fine.
I think Custodes will be fine. You just don't see Trajan anymore.
Trajan just untouched, so
yeah.
He did lose OBSEC.
Yeah, whatever.
He's still amazing even without OBSEC.
Yeah. He doesn't auto-plant bombs anymore.
Oh no.
True. He does just beat you to death instead. He is the bomb.
He is. Before we go too much further down the Custodes rabbit hole, Sisters also get an extra miracle dice every turn because we kind of
they do. Their miracle dice is start of battle round, is start of turn now, not start of battle round. So they just get way more to work with. You can basically automatically buffet now. Is my big note on that one.
Right, it's like literally 5, right? Extra.
In fact, we dislike Custodes so much that I went to talk about Sisters instead of Custodes.
Yeah.
You're just thinking about Sisters of Silence.
It's true. I do like them better, actually.
Custodes already felt like the weakest of the big 4 from before, or the big 3.5.
I would call it 4. I think 4 is fair.
Well, like Tyranids didn't have a new codex,
I guess, but Crusher was,
it was Crusher.
Yeah, but people refuse to believe sometimes that Crusher was a good list, which I enjoy.
Ools.
So I think Custodes were definitely the weakest of those 4 armies. And then seeing them get probably the harshest nerfs of any of the factions that got nerfed in this is kind of painful. I also think they have the least interesting playstyle and the hardest one to have be balanced. So making them the weakest is probably fair.
I'm going to quote a very smart player who I often agree with that said, if you can't be balanced, you have to be bad.
Who said that?
Not important.
Yes, that is exactly the right answer. Okay, let's do Harlequins then.
I guess I
Shall
can
I?
do it.
I want
do it.
Anthony to do it.
You
He
want
was so
Anthony
happy
to do
last
it?
time.
Okay.
Okay. So off the rip, change the mirror architect pivotal role to read "Don't take this anymore." Pretty much, right?
He's
Unless you're running exactly one squad of bikes.
He's
And
not
even
wrong.
then-
Even then.
Kind of fuck off. Like, don't do that to yourself. Don't waste the points on that. Don't make that bike squad 25 points more expensive. Just take something else, or don't take.
Don't
it
make
at
that
all.
bike squad 6 inches closer for lookout, sir.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the atmosphere dies.
Yeah, just get murked. Make yourself sad. Yeah.
Yeah, that is some definite score energy. That is.
Yeah, so honestly, just don't take this. It's bad. Next line, change the favor of Sigarich Warlord trait to read once per turn when you make a melee hit roll or melee wound roll, which is the big change there. It used to be just a hit roll or a wound roll, which is obviously combined with the Death Jester, made them super good.
Yeah, it also says don't take this. We got it.
What'd you say?
We also got changed to don't take this. We got it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just right in the garbage tier.
It eliminated
You
a whole
You might
character
run it on a
and data
Troop
sheet.
Master.
You wouldn't.
No.
There's two other Warlord traits that are better. Like both Fractal Storm and Foot in the Future are much better than this. And even each of the individual Sedates Warlord traits are better. So, yep. Change the cost of a Starweaver unit from it was previously 80. It is now 95, so up by 15 points. And change the cost of a Void Weaver unit from 90 to 130. So they went up 40 points.
That's a lot. That's a big points increase.
It's a big points increase. I don't hate it. They're close to the same points as a Ravager, and they're much better than a Ravager. I think it's fine. I don't. That's not how I wish they did it, because like Haywire cannons have no sins here. They should not have gone up. They definitely could have like 20-20 split this between Prismatics and Haywires. I also don't like that they didn't cut the size of the squadrons, and I also don't like that they didn't touch light. And that's my thoughts on this.
Specifically, you don't like that they didn't touch the movement aspect of light, right?
Right, because I don't often think Trans Hitman does basically anything. Very, very, very often it does little to nothing. It's cute against like when characters are shooting at you or if Custodes who are now dead. Rest in peace.
Specifically, as a player who's been playing Hiveguard for a while, it was really annoying, but it's not.
Yeah, for that, right, exactly. If you have pluses to hit and such or whatever, but like it doesn't do a ton. It's the movement aspect of this that, again, really broke games open for me specifically.
Who thought that being able to move 22 inches and shoot at full efficiency was good?
Honest to God, it's the redeploy into the 22-inch move. If they didn't have access to Phantasm, the faction would probably feel a lot more balanced, at least in the games that I played. But at both the like 5-round events that I won, 3 of those rounds were not games because I went first and redeployed, moved, shot, cleared a 4-digit number of points, and was like, your turn.
So anyway, Anthony, this is what Eldar have been doing for like 10 years. They just had a year off while you started.
That's true. Yeah, they did have some time off while I was in it. I will say that
this is nothing new. Eldar have always been screw the rules. I have Phantasm or redeploys or all this bullshit.
Yeah, it was the redeploy into the move that felt egregious. I guess in the past that it was the redeploy into the double move and kill you, which was nonsense.
Into aircraft.
Yeah, redeploy into quicken, which was nonsense. Yeah, I get it. I understand. I just the way in which I was able to kill people on turn 1 felt a lot more egregious than whatever I had ever done in the past with Drukhari. Drukhari usually took till turn 2, 3. This is just like, blast, you're gone. Goodbye. There was never a chance for you.
Yeah. And I think the thing that you pointed out was you can still run 9 voids and you have lost nothing offensively.
Yep.
You have lost 360 points of scoring, which is 2 and a bit bolts worth of like little stuff.
A little less, but yeah.
What are they like one? No, they're like one.
A boat's 80 and then a troop squad's like 90. That's what I'm saying. It's just barely less, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 2 and a bit. Yeah.
Yep.
So like you're gonna lose a lot of scoring, but in the games where you were tabling your board anyway, the scoring isn't what mattered. But yeah, that list is not going to be winning events consistently now. It will probably still win like smaller GTs and things like that, and you'll probably still see it because people have 9 voids and it's simple. But yeah, that's a list that will now lose games when it goes second to just getting math checked.
Yeah,
you don't have the security blanket of Mirror Architect anymore.
I don't. Yeah, in a lot of matchups, it doesn't like. What was I going to say? The like Void damage output's very swingy, so it can really go wrong. That was why having the fusion boats was so crucial, and it's why I ultimately ran more fusion boats and 6 voids, because it was more consistent, like pseudo consistent with Luck of the Laughing God, because it was a smaller number of dice. But yeah, there will still be a lot of games where someone just laughs at you, goes first, flies up, and blows your brains out with 9 voids. Like, that's still an option, and I don't think it should be. That's really what
No,
that was what I was upset about with this change. I didn't feel like they addressed the right things with Harlequins.
Cool, that makes sense. Let's do Tau, then we'll do a broader meta, because I think that allows us to touch on every army, and then we will be taking a break. So,
Yep.
Tau. Nathan, do you want to run us through the broad strokes of the Tau changes?
Sure.
Obviously, remember that the indirect nerf happened, and Tau really don't like that.
They do not. So we'll talk about it. We'll contextualize some of these changes in just a second. Just know that I think that the Tau got the lightest of the touches, personally, in my opinion, and that there are several things about these changes that I actually actively dislike that I think make Tau a much more narrow army datasheet wise than it was before. But here we go. Change the second bullet point of the Monka ability to read each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest enemy unit within the range shown in the table below. Reroll a wound roll of 1, so you no longer get the AP boost from Monka anymore. Second change is change the first bullet point of the devastating counterstrike. It's in 9 inches instead of 12 inches for the Farsight Enclave special trait for counting something as having a marker light token.
Yep.
So you have to be a lot
means
closer.
You don't get it from reserve. Yeah.
Yes. So you don't get it from reserves because you drop 9.000001 inches away. I'm tired of people trying to tell me you can get 8-inch charges at a deep strike, and I'll find you.
Yeah, you're not Gene Circle.
No. Remove the core keyword from the keyword section of broadside battlesuits, and then add the following to repulsor impact field and photon grenades. So these are the things that you could activate to reduce your opponent's charge roll, essentially, and they don't stack anymore. So you can't...
Or they don't stack with themselves or with difficult ground.
Right. So they don't stack with difficult ground. So you can't get -2 plus whatever you get on this, or you can't have 2 units use their stratagems at the same time and like turn off all of their charge movement, essentially. I hadn't actually seen anybody combine it, but I can see why they made this change.
I've seen it.
Yeah, you can layer them. You can like crisscross them into each other, and then it's a fucking nightmare.
That makes sense.
Especially if they're intense.
Before we get too much further, these are good changes, but they're changes in the wrong direction in my opinion. For one, they didn't change storm surges at all, and storm surges are over 100 points cheaper than the comparable knight and have more firepower and a better invulnerable save and the ability to get full hit rerolls very
also
easily.
A better armor save.
Yes. And then the other thing that I think they did wrong is they actually, by eliminating core on just broadsides, made it so that armies need to focus even more heavily on crisis suits. So instead of the diversity of having broadsides in the army, because they are essentially also crisis suits, but badder. I shouldn't body shame the broadside battle suits, though. Actually, to be fair,
chunkier.
They're chunkier. They're huskier. They're thicker. They are with at least 2 C's.
I'm an expert in thick.
It's true. Thank you, Anthony. But now it's basically just going to be all crisis and bodyguard units with a few breacher squads, and that's it. Because the only other way to get good AP and after the indirect changes, triple storm surge will also be a more common thing now because of it.
Diversity is when 2 lists.
So the other thing that I have with this is basically it's just going to be people are going to pull all of their AFPs off, which I'm fine with because I hate airburst fragmentation projectors with like a fiery passion. And you won't see as many.
So much plasma on it.
Yeah, these things are going to fit just way more plasma or way more of the quad barrel guns that
shoot blasters.
Not the Cyclics, the other one. The AP
burst
Zero
cannons?
gun. I think people will put more of the rotor guns essentially on them.
I feel like burst cannons are going to struggle with.
Burst cannons losing the point of AP from Monkai is rough.
That is rough. It's true. But I think
there's not that much 2-up save though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space.
But it doesn't matter if they're they're reducing AP of an AP0.
But like you gotta get like Tyranids are a lot of top saves. Custodes will still exist.
Mhm.
And other Tau in cover are 2-up save. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that is 2-up save.
And you don't just
I feel
take
like it's-
all of your points as the
Well, it's
rotor
super-
gun. You take like probably 1 or 2 of that one, and then you take a third of a heavier gun.
Tau will
Well, they
just
just-
mix up the weapons by the map.
Mhm.
As
I'll
the-
also just ignore cover, don't they?
No, you have to pay. You have to take the upgrade, which means you don't have shield generators.
Yeah.
So you can choose to have target loss and ignore cover, or you can choose to have shield generators and live.
Mhm.
And that's actually a choice now, which is good
Yeah.
because you're not just getting free AP.
I was disappointed by these changes because I think that they actually made some of the problems worse. Like,
I would have liked to
great-
see a hit to Crisis and an actual hit to the actual Crisis data sheet, and definitely a points increase on Storm Surges.
I would have changed the core being removed from broadsides for them to actually make meaningful changes to crisis suits. Like,
Yeah, same.
instantaneously, because I don't care if somebody has like broadside battle suits as much as I care about somebody bringing fast moving crisis battle suits all around the table and just
Not the
picking up
broadsides
every
weren't
unit.
fast moving with Monka. Like, let's not be. Let's
They're
not. Let's get,
They're not that fast though, right?
they're
Like
5 plus D6 inches that can go through walls. Like, they're not slow.
5 inches is pretty slow.
they're not
They're-
18 though, bro.
But for a unit with a 16-inch range and guns that are
They also didn't
very
have
singularly powerful,
they didn't have fly though, so you could
they did for a little bit with drones.
yes.
Stop that.
This is
Stop
this is
that.
my I'm really
You know
actively
better than
unhappy with that thing that you just said and made me really mad deep inside.
Remember when you could just fly in on a drone?
Yeah, I actually
Little whole battle
picture
suit on that
that thick suit just like hanging 10 on that drone as it flies in.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Rain Drone.
Yeah, that's right.
Tempting. I'm tempted now to just buy a broadside so I can have its drones have antlers and have the red nose and have it just surfing on them into town.
Yeah, you'd have to do the broadside instead of holding a gun, holding like a bag.
Full of your
Our
opponent,
prison is
like,
SMS.
full of trophies just in the bag.
Yeah.
The good thing about the indirect change, though, is that it really affects SMS and AFP, which were 2 extremely problematic pieces of
I
the
need to
Tau
check
army.
something.
But I think GW, similar to with Harlequins, made a mistake about where some problems were coming from. But they also did it in a way that unhealthily affected both Tau and Harlequins, because some of the Harlequins nerfs made the other Sadith choices worse actively. And the same thing with Tau is that they made other army choices just worse, so it focused and funneled everybody into like 2 builds for Tau.
Okay.
And I think that's bad.
I think you're going to see a lot more triple storm surges. And as a friend of Anthony's, that I'm a massive fan of that. So
Why? Why would you like that?
You won't like that either, Innes. It's not going
I
to be
will
good
be
for your
fine.
Carnifexes.
I do not care. It makes Anthony suffer. That means it's valuable.
So we need to send a player who plays triple Storm Surge just to Scotland to play Innes, apparently.
We've got like 3. It's fine. They're all playing triple storm surge. They're all really good at going 4-1, so I never play them.
So
Says Innes, who also wins events going 4-1.
Yeah, but I
That's
do it the
right.
right way.
yeah, it's about how you do it. The execution matters.
It's all on the wrists.
That's right.
Okay, broader meta. You guys took that somewhere I was not intending.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Look, I'm just saying it's self-congratulatory, not the other thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it
That's what it
also
sounded like.
self-congratulatory the other way?
Yeah.
I don't want to go into it for fear of being censored. Thanks, Tyler. You can fix that bit.
Good luck.
Okay, let's talk about very quickly about a couple of armies that didn't see changes: Necrons, Orcs, Demons, Genestealer Cult.
Gene Stealer
Bad
Cult
time
got
to be those
benefits.
4?
I have a lot to say about Genestealer Cult.
Start saying it.
Okay, so I think Genestealer Cult.
Point of the show.
Oh, yeah, Genestealer Cult. I think jump up into, if not S tier, like very close to the S tier. Their biggest predator was indirect, and their like Tau really messed them up real hard, and they have a much easier time of dealing with that now because they don't just die in their deployment zone like a bunch of plebs. They can actually get out there and do things because the indirect is gone. or not gone, but near enough makes no difference. Marines getting better is great for them because they just mulch Marines. I don't know if you've been on the receiving end of some industrial affinity shit lately, but that stuff is not pretty if you're a Marine body. Looking down the pipe to other changes, GSC are actually surprisingly good at killing a lot of the Tyranid stuff, which is kind of amusing. All those Tyranid monsters do not like being on the receiving end of a board
I've
group.
definitely felt like Crusher Stampede was a very decent matchup for the previous Gene Circle Codex, or Gene Circle was the previous Nids Codex. So yeah, it not changing too much. There's definitely some stuff in Nids that's nasty for them, but like Harpies are a pain in the ass for Gene Circle. But
that's true. Yeah. It just depends on how many of those we end up seeing, and if there's enough relevant shooting in GSC that you can use to take them down to the air. It's not great, but they're not -1 damage anymore. So even those stupid truck auto cannons help.
Yeah, but they're not winning on 4s. Like, it's not a great place to be.
They went on 3s, right? Oh no, the stupid things.
Yeah, and also mini transhuman, and
whatever. But I'm just saying, like, slowly but surely, stuff like that adds up, and you can chip them down over time. And depending on what you're taking, there can be enough shooting there. So I think GSC are like big watch this space for me. Their ability to score is insane in the new missions between the new teleport homer, and they're really good at behind enemy lines because they have so many idiots. And now their ability to murder you is much higher. Like, keep an eye on GSC. I think they're going to be real good.
Fair enough. I'll take demons. Demons almost benefit almost completely not at all from any of these changes. It's
almost really worse for them.
AP going away, weirdly, for the army that doesn't have armor saves, doesn't matter. +1 save doesn't matter.
Guard.
Yeah, guard being terrifying is horrifying for demons. The Bellicor army right now isn't too worried because it ignores hit rerolls. But yeah, I'm not super hot on demon right now, unfortunately. Even just stuff like Keepers of Secrets are AP3, which means that against Space Marines, they charge them and they get a 4-up save?
A 5, right?
No, because they ignore a point of it.
That would make them AP2?
Yeah, but you're talking like taking like decent Space Marines, like, you charge into a squad of, what are they called? I'm blanking on something.
Intercessors?
No, not intercessors. The things with the 2-up save that aren't like Sandguard. Like, you just charge the Sandguard and just don't kill them.
Anything with a 2-up save.
Like any of like the decent combat stuff that Space Marines are going to be frontlining with is going to be on a 2-up save.
Yeah.
You're just not going to kill it. Like, no wound rerolls against Salamanders. Like, you charge a Salamander Dreadnought, it's getting a 5-up save against you, so it doesn't even need an invul. So they can still take a Bore the Witch, and then also they just punch you to death back. Like, I don't know. It seems like a really bad time to be demons. Regular Space Marines get a save against Bellicor now.
That's bad.
AP4, AP3 now. Well, now I get a 6-up save. So, like, you can just, like, randomly, Bellicor with his 6 attacks can randomly not kill a squad of Space Marines now. Like, very, very reasonably. I don't know. I don't really want to be here. Flamers of Tzeentch, which are a really, really good damage output option, or AP1, Beast of Nurgle, or AP Dash, where they're not affected too badly, but they have full rerolls to wound. So, killing Salamanders.
So sad.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I mourn for Necrons as well for not entirely different reasons, because a lot of Necron weapons are like AP1, AP2. And like flayed ones specifically are AP1 in combat, and that just kind of goes away now. So you'll probably still kill that unit, but you might not.
Yeah,
we're all going to be on a 3-up or a 2-up.
Getting that +1 AP just kind of doesn't matter now because that just goes away, and it's like you don't have a chapter trait.
Yep. So unfortunately, Necrons, you're about to see a meta get kind of more challenging because Space Marines are going to probably bounce back in meta representation, and you're probably going to see a lot of
Marines.
Salamanders.
When Marines are marginally playable, like when Marines are B or A tier, you see a lot of Marines.
And Assault Marines just shove Necrons into a locker like a high school bully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even think Nick OJ that Scorpex are going to be enough to do it.
But if anybody can prove it, I believe in Nick's ability.
Yeah, I was going to say
Nick of BiffPod the Next Generation. Good luck.
Yeah, because I just don't. A part of me just doesn't know if you can bring enough Scorpex to it. That's all.
But just remember, that random Space Marine in cover is going to get a 5-up save against the Silent Kings many years.
Come on, man. Why you got to bully him when he's down?
Yeah, I think Necrons and Orcs as well. We'll touch on Orcs super quickly. Will just suffer. Orcs specifically, the indirect nerf is not great for them, and Deathcopters are not great AP. I believe AP2 on the Rockets and AP1 in combat. Not great into Marines.
AP3.
Are they AP3? They're
AP3
AP3
in Speed Law.
in Speed Law, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's AP1. That's like functionally AP1 against Marines in cover.
Yep.
So you're putting them to a 4-up save against Intercessors.
Not great.
Yeah, no, it's
Like-
not ideal.
It's really hard. It's really weird if we could just Space Marine troops are just like tanky now.
Yeah.
They're even like turning off the Wound Reader from Speed King
Yeah, that's rude.
in Salamanders. Yeah.
And then the whole squad dies when they get charged with the Mortal Wounds strat, but we won't talk about that right now. We're in the Marine Hopium times.
Yeah, Marines are going to come in and they're going to do well. Salamanders in
Marine-
particular are probably going to do extra well. So you're going to see lots of funnily colored
And
salamanders.
Deathwatcher people can figure out how to play them, like more than 2 people
Yeah.
on the planet. Yeah, I think the biggest change we're going to see from this is that Custodes and Tau will drop, and Marines are going to pick up all of that slack. Because there were so many people who just want to play Marines. Even
think
just with, like White Scars just gets +1 save. Like, that's fine. White Scars were already okay. And now they are just +1 save, army-wide, because everything has AP.
You might see some people leave Harlequins, but I don't think Harlequins are going to get significantly worse. Like they
You'll
will
see
get
a-
a little bit worse because there's like
I
it's
think a lot of
really
people are
easy to
gonna leave
need that
Harlequins.
safety blanket from
A
your
lot of people are going to leave
architect.
Harlequins because they're not easy anymore.
That's fair.
Yep.
I think I agree
Like-
with that.
Yeah, you could probably track the proportion of Harlequin players that literally just vanish to probably guard and block pugs. Because guard just seemed really easy to just roll face with now, and that seems like a good place to be if you want to roll tide.
Yep.
Okay, I think is there anything else anybody wants to say on the subject of the balanced data slate?
Are we going to
Before
talk about
we-
the elephant in the room of all the good armies getting nerfed right before NIDs come out, or are we going to just leave that
No,
be?
we're not at all because we don't know. We don't know. As much as I want to sit here and be like, I love Tyranids and they're my favorite army and I can't wait to play them. I think we all know they're going to be a problem, but until we actually see it, it is difficult to judge that for certain.
Yeah.
If they prove to be, I'm not going to sit here and defend them. I'm not that kind of guy. I think we're
That's
all
true.
happy enough to say that we're happy to turn on our own armies when they're too much. Anthony maybe not so much. He is a
The-
staunch elf defender.
The only point that I ever want to make about it is that it's always good to reserve absolute judgment until
Yes.
the army actually makes it
Especially
into the meta.
when the bodyguard stuff that was probably the most egregious thing that we're doing is gone.
That's true.
I
You're still
do-
able to block your tyrants. You just have to put the guard
Yes.
in front of
But-
them now.
There is now
Yeah.
actually there is interactivity points on that, or you can just park a void reaver next to the hive tyrant, and now you can shoot it.
That's true.
Like you couldn't do that before. Like there is now interactivity points there. So I am cautiously pessimistic about Tyranids, I think is how I'll put it. I think they're going to be very strong. I think they're probably going to be into the upper A or S tier. But until I actually see it on the table getting results at tournaments, I will not be calling for anything. But I'm going to be trying to get those myself.
I always like to reserve tier placement until we at least see something hit the meta for a week or two. Like
Yeah,
the first week is kind of speculative, and the second week will be a bigger deal. I know
Yeah,
that
for
the Tyranid leaks have been out in force and people have been practicing a
ages.
lot.
Yeah.
But I will say that when you play your friends, there's a bit of a thing where you can predict what each other is going to do. And unless you play against a very diverse player base with a lot of different people, you're not going to know how that army necessarily plays into the meta as a whole.
There's two more things I'll touch on for that one. Nids are now debuting as an army that is probably very strong, but every other army that's very strong has just been nerfed, and there is now more space to respond to Tyranids than there would have been when Harlequins and Tywin Custodes were all at the top of the meta. And there just aren't that many Nids players, to be honest. I know they're probably going to roughly hit the same meta representation as Harlequins at best, I think.
You
It's
think so?
just-
I feel like there's so many more NID players than there are Harlequin
Dude,
players.
when 9 Hive Tyrants was a thing, you did not see many people playing 9 Hive Tyrants.
I think
Mm.
part of it is going to be that the people who have Crusher Stampede armies already aren't necessarily going to transition to
But,
the new Nids.
Do you think this is
fully.
significantly stronger than Crusher Stampede? Because I don't think it is.
No,
It's
I'm not.
strong, but I don't think
I'm
it's
not saying
significantly
that.
stronger than Crusher.
What I'm saying is
And
that
then
since
assuming Crusher
90
goes away,
what I'm
Crusher
saying is
never
that,
hit meta reps that high.
yeah, the only thing I want to say is that 90% of people who are playing Tyranids right now are all playing Crusher, and a lot of people who jumped onto Tyranids more recently play exclusively Crusher. So I don't know if their collections are going to be diverse enough to jump from a Crusher-based list into the list that you're going to need to play new Tyranids competitively, is what I'm trying to say. That's all.
We'll see. It's a lot of monsters still, but
I just don't know.
AOW is pretty adamant that Nids are stronger than Quins. Where Art War is always pretty adamant about everything it thinks, and it's not always right, unfortunately.
That's true.
So as much as I love and respect all the guys over at Art of War, just basing things on their opinions alone can lead to they have a very insular meta, and it colors their perceptions quite a lot, unfortunately, which can make their takes a little misrepresentative for everybody else playing the game.
Also,
all right, guys.
We, Fight Club, are the font of all knowledge.
No, we're the front of all knowledge, as in we're first.
Right.
We're not even first. Lost Spectacular got to this 8 hours ago.
I don't care about them.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we are going to take a quick, we're going to call it a 9-minute break. We'll be back at quarter to the hour. If you are listening to the show on a audio format, this is the end of the show for you. Thank you very much for sticking with us. We really appreciate all of you. If you'd like to drop a review in whatever podcasting app you use, it really helps us out. Otherwise, if you'd like to check us out at the youtube.com/c/bestingtabletop, you can catch the second half of the show on the live streams, which we do every Tuesday, except this one at midnight UK. Otherwise, you can become a YouTube member and you can see all of the backdated episodes for the bonus round. That will get you access to lots of extra content for us. I believe that is $10 a month, but please do check the YouTube for specifics. The other way you can support us, you can check us out at patreon.com/bestingtabletop. That gets you access to the community Discord where you can do things like ask us questions or chat to us. We went through all of the meta stuff for this weekend for the Balanced Date slate. We had a lot of discussion about it. You can see all the ridiculous lists I wrote that are not good, but include things like 3 Astreus or 2 Fire Raptors because that's funny. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got from us. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. If you're here on the live stream, please just stick around. We will be here for a little bit of a clown show during the break while we grab a drink of water and sit here and wait for everybody to filter out, go and grab a drink of water, go and feed your pets, all that good stuff. Thank you very much, everybody, and we will catch you in 5 days. We're not going to be long for this one.
Yeah, quick turnaround.
Cool. Let's go and water because I am thirsty boy.
I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna leave you guys with stats, Dad.
Nathan, take good care of our children. The chat.